You are listening to the Empowered Business Podcast. I'm your host, Monica Froese, a mom of two and your secret weapon to creating a six-figure digital product business. I'm on a mission to help 1,000 women make $100,000 a year. That's right, $100 million towards financial independence for women. As an online business expert, I am teaching you everything I know right here week after week, so you can join us on the journey to $100 million. Sound good? Then let's jump in. Sarah, welcome to the Empowered Business Podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Hey, Monica, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So I always start every interview with asking about your entrepreneurial journey. Like, how did this all start for you? Why are you an entrepreneur? And then what do you do?
Yeah. So my journey started a long time ago. I've actually been online as a business owner, entrepreneur since 2005. And it all started when my oldest son was born. He was 5 months old, and I realized that I didn't want to be at work anymore. I wanted to be home with him. And so I spent about 5 years really just trying to figure something out. I didn't, back then, 2005, there wasn't really all of the opportunities that we have today. And so I kind of dabbled in blogging, and I did a lot of blogging. And then I had an online business, an online store and that kind of stuff. And then eventually discovered that I really was good at and loved doing branding and web design. All of those little things that I was dabbling in, I was designing brands and just creating my own website. And so I was like, okay, I need to keep doing this. And so it was around 2010, 2012 that I really kind of went full force into branding and design. And over the course of those years, I had 3 more sons. And so at this point, I had 4 kids and really just went all in on web design and grew my business doing that. Networked with a ton of people all over the world and was loving what I was doing. Really, it was great. But what I found was I was networking so much and meeting so many people and taking on so much work. I wasn't charging enough. And so I was burnt out, overworked, overwhelmed, trying to do all the things. I didn't have good boundaries in place. And then it was in 2018, actually, that I decided I had a client come to me and ask me for this whole laundry list of things she wanted done. And I was just so overwhelmed. I didn't have time to actually do a whole proposal for her. It was just kind of one of those moments where I was like, how about you just pay me for the day and we'll get the whole thing done? And so, of course, she loved the idea. She paid me. We got it all done. And it was truly the best thing I had ever done in my business. And so from that point forward, that's what I kept pitching to all of my clients who came to me. I was like, well, this will take a day or this will take 2 days. And so, so from 2018 until now, that's what I've been doing. And now I also teach the whole day rate or VIP day model to other designers, other copywriters, service providers, really anybody who does a done for you type service business.
And you call it Day Rate Mastery, right?
Day Rate Mastery is the name of my company. And then I have numerous programs within the business, just getting started programs. And I have my flagship course, which is called Get Booked by the Day. We have a brand new VIP day offering for people who want to do VIP days, but don't want to set it all up themselves. So.
Oh, very meta.
Yeah, I know.
So are you not doing day rates as a web designer anymore for yourself?
I am still doing them, but only for clients who I've already worked with, clients that come back and need little things here and there, but I'm not advertising my services because I'm just so busy with hundreds of students now who are learning this model. Yeah.
So I will say, as someone who hires a lot of contractors in my business, the day rate model really is appealing from a hiring standpoint, because I've had so many projects that just dragged on and on and on. And I actually understand it from both perspectives, because one of the reasons I never wanted to be a service provider, though I could be, because I build funnels, I can do it in my sleep. I could do it for other people very easily. and ads. I did Pinterest ads for a long time too. I could have done that in my sleep, but I think I lack a lot of boundary. I have boundary issues. I don't like being accountable to other people. That's kind of why I wanted to be my own boss to begin with. I don't like hitting other people's deadlines. But then on the receiving end, I've had so many contracts not hit their deliverable dates. The back and forth to execute on what I was paying for actually was a huge drain on my time. So I actually look now when we have a need to hire someone for SEO, and I'm like, let's find someone who does a VIP day or a day rate. And so I really understand like the benefit of it. So I'm very curious how, when people come into your programs, why? Like, what's the thing that makes them think I can't keep doing business the way I've been doing it?
Yeah. So, well, just to kind of go back on what you were saying about only hiring VIP day providers, I'm the same way now. Like that's all I do is I only hire every single thing I need to hire out is a VIP day because again, like I don't want to wait 6 weeks or 10 weeks for my project to be done. And that back and forth email is such a drain. Nobody checks their email these days. I don't know about you, but my inbox is full of so much crap all the time that it takes me forever to get to the important stuff. And so just to have a day dedicated to getting one thing done is just so much more refreshing than always having to check email. So that's number one. But the reason like people come in wanting to do VIP days, it's really twofold now. So when I first did this, nobody had even heard of it. It was like, a website in a day? Are you crazy? How can you build a whole website in a day? Just because industry deemed like 6 weeks as a standard turnaround, why can't we just do it in a day? And so people hadn't heard of the model then. And when I started talking about it, it was really coming down to they were struggling with scope creep, lack of boundaries, never-ending projects, inconsistent deadlines, clients that were not responsive to them, not getting paid on time, like all of those common like freelancer problems that happen when you have projects that drag out and you don't have any boundaries. So that was like what was resonating with people when I was marketing my course, and they were coming to me because of that. Well, now people are coming to me not only because of that, but also because they know that this is the way forward, and people like you and I are looking to hire VIP day providers. And if you don't have a VIP day on your list of services, you might get passed over for the next person that does. So there's a lot of people now that are aware of it, and they just know they need to figure out how to do it.
Okay. And then, but also it seems logical that it must be more lucrative too for providers.
Well, I mean, I do a lot of education around it being a more lucrative premium offer, but I think those providers are seeing their competition. And so Web Designer A offers a VIP day for $3,000, and Web Designer B offers a website project for $3,000 or whatever. But website B's project is 10 weeks long. And she's like, hey, wait a minute, she's charging $3,000 for the day and it's the same thing. So why wouldn't I just do that?
Yeah. And as someone who purchases these services, honestly, well, I get it. I would imagine one of the things that you probably teach is like who they're targeting their services to, because, I get it. Maybe 3-4 years ago, I don't look at hours ever. I look at the outcome, and I don't have time to waste. So you're going to get me the same outcome in a day. Like, I don't care that I'm paying you $3,000 for the day or $3,000 over 10 weeks. I don't know when that mental shift happened for me. I understand how people who are purchasing the services get stuck in it. So, but maybe it's because they can spread their payment out over a longer period of time. So is there like a certain level of caliber of person you teach people to be selling to?
Yeah. What we really talk about is the people that we're marketing VIP days to are people that have more money than time. So it's the people who have at least, 5K to 10K months at a minimum. We're not targeting the brand new entrepreneur who has been trying DIYing and trying to do her own thing and really has to watch every dollar that she spends in her business. That's not your premium VIP day client. You're targeting people who have been in business a few years. They did the DIY thing and they've outgrown it. And now they have an audience and they have a legit business that needs to be leveled up to where they're at in their business.
So does that mean that new service providers are a good fit or a bad fit? Like, do they need to have these connections already, or do you teach that?
I think that's two different things. So we're talking about like, who do we target with our VIP days? We target the business owner who's been in business for a while. But who makes a good candidate to be a VIP day service provider? That's a whole other thing. And I would also argue that in order to be successful with day rates or VIP days, you really need to have been in business for, like, you don't just come out of the gate offering VIP days because you don't have any clients, you don't have any experience, you don't have a portfolio to show what you can do. You might not be very fast when you're first starting out, and you don't have that network of referrals and collaboration opportunities. That's really where the majority of my VIP day clients were all repeat clients, referrals, or some sort of a collaboration, which I only had because I had been in business for a while. So there are a lot of people that love this idea and it looks so amazing, but then they've only worked with one client in their whole life. And so it's kind of hard to sell it if you only have worked with one client.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Because if I'm going to buy a VIP day from you, I do need to know that you can actually get it done in that VIP day as like the buyer of it. So that makes a lot of sense. So then basically you've built a community of like up-leveled service providers.
Yes. Yep. Up-level service providers serving up-leveled business owners, pretty much.
Ooh, that's a
and
good niche.
there's a lot of cross collaboration going on in there too. Like the up-level copywriter needs an up-level design website. And so, and the web designer needs up-level copy for her VIP day. So it's been a really amazing, it's been really cool to watch like how this community is all supporting each other and they're all up-leveling together.
Tell me, I think I've seen this on your website. I'm pretty sure you don't you have like a directory for people like me to come and find your students to hire? That's a thing, right?
Yep. We have the Day Rate Creatives directory.
Now, is that free for someone like me to come and use, but they have to be in your program to be in it? Like they have to be paid, they have to pay to be in it.
Yes. All of my students are in it. Not all of my students, but it's a bonus when you join the program. When you join my course, it's a pay in full bonus to get into the directory. And then, it's free for anybody outside to go on the website, find who you need. There are, email links, portfolio links, social media, all that for everybody on there. And you can actually search by, design, copy, marketing, systems, like all of those fun things.
May I say that is an amazing pay in full bonus? And now my mind is like, I love pay in full bonuses. So it's a very interesting, this is like a little bit of a pivot, but it's an interesting philosophy. Some people love payment plans because of the predictability that it brings to their business with recurring revenue. But I've always been a proponent of incentivizing pay in full because like, here's the deal. Like if the money's going to be mine regardless, and I'm delivering my product to you, then I'd rather the money be in my hands. Like I know how to control my money. I don't need you to control it for me. It's kind of, I may have control issues. So I'm always looking for great ways to incentivize pay in full. And that's a genius.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it happened by accident because once I started running this course, I was still doing design work, but I was trying to slowly stop. And I had all of these students who were looking for clients. And so it was this constant, well, what do you need? Okay, let me go to my group and see who does this. And let me come back to you. And it was just like, okay, let's just make a directory. We'll put everybody in there. And then I now send anybody who comes to me looking for design work or anything, I send everybody right to that directory.
Do you have ambition to make it like a marketplace where people like me would pay to get access to all of your amazing service providers?
Like make people pay to see the list?
Yeah, like a marketplace where you're essentially the connector on both sides. So I know a couple, I know that there's virtual assistants ones that exist. There were some, which I don't know if I've always agreed with how they've been executed by some people in the industry with the virtual assistants ones, mainly because I don't think they pay people fairly. And that is a huge issue to me. But like, I could see a potential where if you're giving, because here's the number one issue I have with hiring people, it's quality of work. There could be someone that's quoting me 10 grand that really is not a great
Right.
they're not actually great at their deliverables. And it's hard for someone like me to know that. So I, of course, operate off a referral. We're in similar business networks and stuff, and you trust your friends who have gone before you, have used that service provider. So I could totally see a need for a marketplace like that on both ends, where you have high end service providers and you have higher end clients who can afford to pay for them. And like, that could, I don't know, it could be like,
yeah, definitely. And I've looked at it from all different ways. Honestly, that was one of those things where it was like, we just need to get this directory up because so many people were coming in. And so we built the directory. I think there's gotta be 100 people at least in there right now. And so really it comes down to prioritizing my projects. And
of course,
what can I manage right now? I mean, people are asking for certification programs. They're asking for white labeled versions of my client pre-work, and then the direct, there's all these things. And it's one of those things, and you probably know as a CEO, you're just like, I don't know what to work on first, what project to work on. So yeah.
Are you going to go the certification and white label route?
It's on the list. It's on our list too. It's just a matter of fitting it into our structure and our programs. And I don't know about you, but I'm always tweaking things and adjusting things and just changing things. None of my programs have stayed exactly the same for 2 years. And so it's I would love to add certification in, but at the price point my course is right now, it's not a certification type of program because it's a $997. Well, the price did just go up a little bit, but it's been a $997 program, which is not really certification level. So it would need to be more higher ticket. And so it's just working that into the whole ecosystem and how it works.
Okay. So we talk a lot on the show about product ascension ladders. It's kind of I really love product ascension ladders. I mean, it's essentially the whole philosophy of how I do my funnels as well. And the way I teach really builds from the bottom up. Although sometimes I think you actually built top down, you knew your signature thing and then added on your low ticket, if I'm not mistaken. But now essentially you do have an ascension model in your business where people can essentially start low ticket and move up. Can you tell us how that works? What are the offers that you have there?
Yeah. So yes, you're right. We started with just the course, the signature course. And then from there, we built a higher ticket coaching program that our course alumni would graduate into the year-long high ticket coaching program called Momentum. So this is the first year running Momentum. And then this past summer, we launched our low ticket day rate quick start, which is really that entry point. The entry point up until now has always been our free webinar, my masterclass. So people were coming in there and going into the course, the main course. And now people are coming in through my low ticket, and then they're going into the main course. And we still have that higher ticket program running right now, but we might be restructuring and combining the course and the high ticket into a hybrid coaching course type program for 2022.
Would that be a higher ticket dollar, or so you wouldn't have that mid tier anymore, that $1,000 price point? It would kind of go your low ticket and then apply to get into a high ticket, several $1,000s type.
I'm not sure if it's going to be a high ticket application type of funnel, but it might just be a higher ticket course, a 2K or 3K course that is not application funnel. And then from there, we are actually also looking at the idea of doing a legacy mastermind that runs on the end of the high ticket for people who want to go from, and I know we talked about this before we hit record, but people who have mastered their VIP day model, and now they have all of this free time on their hands and they want to scale with passive income. And so, or courses and that kind of thing. And so that's what kind of happens that's what's happening right now in my Momentum coaching group. Everyone is looking at, okay, I've got my VIP days dialed in. Now what? And so we're looking at, okay, let's now turn your, IP into a course or something.
Okay. So Momentum then was a high ticket on the end of your course, but you could only get in it if you had taken the $997 course. So it was a back end high ticket.
Yes, exactly.
How was your conversion rate into that? Was it worth your time to do it that way?
Yes, I had Well, it depends on how you look at the conversion rate. So when I launched it last year, we had about 250 students and 60 of them applied for the program and 30 of them joined.
Oh, wow. It was a 50% conversion for the people who applied. Yeah. And 30 people into a high ticket off of a pool of 250 to me is pretty good.
Yeah, it was great. But it was definitely a learning curve because it wasn't new. We didn't introduce new content. Really, the content is in the course and the curriculum that they had already learned. And the coaching program was really just to go deeper on what they'd already learned. And I think 12 months to go deeper, they didn't need 12 months to really, they mastered their VIP. Like they knew what they needed to do in the course. And so I think we're looking at making the coaching program that's why we're looking at the course and the coaching being together going forward and making it be a 6-month program because you really don't need 12 months to master this whole model. So that's why we're like, okay, we'll do the course and the coaching for 6 months. And then on the end of that, if you want to keep going and create a course or create a program or stay with us in our higher ticket mastermind, that's another thing on the end.
So I'm sure you know this, but this is very common. I mean, I think the thing is, this is what I see with my students. They come in and they want there to be one simple answer for everything. Like there is only one way to do it. Just tell me what it is. Give me the answer. So I go, and there, in some things there really is only one way to do it. Like some technical, like hooking things up and, but in most things in business, you don't know until you try. And that seems to really scare a lot of people to just try. It's like and the thing is, it's funny because my motto, we actually just printed up a bunch of shirts and stuff. Cause I say all the time, every time like a launch isn't going well, is I don't do failure. That doesn't mean I'm unwilling to pivot and change. It just means, okay, this didn't work. Now it didn't work the way I wanted it to. I didn't get the results I wanted. So since I don't do failure, now I'm going to pivot and do something else. And like how you couldn't have known before the way you launched the high ticket that it was better off being together until you tried it.
Right. Exactly. And I feel like that is like what you just said is the story of my entire entrepreneurial career. I was on another podcast and she described it perfect. She's like, it's like you've done 1,000 micro pivots over the years. And my motto is action breeds confidence and do it messy. Like just do it messy. Take imperfect action because we're never going to know if it's going to work if we don't try it. And so if it doesn't work, then we just try something different.
Yeah. And that could be really hard to get to that point of accepting that. But that is actually what differentiates, I think, people who end up being successful versus if you're unwilling to try new things and if you're too easy to give up, then you're probably not an entrepreneur. You might want to actually just go back to corporate or something. And I don't say that, but everyone has different personalities. Like my husband and I, he's in corporate and we talk about this all the time. Like entrepreneurship is not for him. Like it's not how he's wired. He wants the direction and the structure that corporate provides. And and I used to think I was a lot like that too, but the further I get into business, the easier it is for me to accept that things will be messy, that I can't always have the answers ahead of time and just be willing to work with what's in front of me,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's like two other like main things I want to make sure to hit on. And one of them is this whole idea of service providers and getting into digital products and how they really work together. Because I think that being a service provider and creating digital products work very well together. And clearly that's what actually you do. I mean, you were a service provider, used your knowledge, created this whole digital product ecosystem. So now you want to do this legacy mastermind that essentially will help your day rate students be able to do the same. So you must see some synergy here as well.
Yes. So the first thing I've discovered was the reason, like I wanted to do courses and products for years before I started doing VIP days back in 2008. I was on a mastermind retreat in 2016 and It was on that retreat. I was doing a lot of design. I was still overwhelmed, burnt out, all that stuff was happening then. And I was like, I need to create a course. And everybody who was with me on that retreat was like, you need to teach your branding methods, or like how you do branding. You need to teach it to people. Like that's what you can sell because you're really good at branding. And web design wasn't really part of it. It was more just the branding part. And so I went home from that retreat and I created my 5-day mood board challenge, which became very popular. It was a free 5-day challenge. I've had like 10,000 people go through this challenge over the years. But when I first created it, it was just this 5-day challenge. I had nothing to sell on the end of it. It was literally just, here, come take this challenge. And then, okay, hope you had fun. Like, see you later. And it was because I was drowning in client work. I didn't have time to create a course or a membership or a program. And then, so I sat on that idea for 2 years. I kept running those challenges. I was building my list, but I had no course. And then finally in 2018, once I struck on this whole day rate thing, now all of a sudden I was only doing client work 2 days a week and I had 3 days available to create whatever I wanted to create for my own business. I was no longer working on other people's businesses. I had the time to work on my own business. And so that's when I actually launched a branding course in 2018 on the end of that mood board challenge. I finally ran the challenge and then went right into a branding course, which was amazing. And then in 2019 is when I launched Get Booked by the Day. But it was all only because I had space. I had white space in my schedule to focus on the programs. And so I like to teach my clients, you really just need to take whatever the services that you're providing and look at all the different parts of your service and what parts of that are the most desirable that could be turned into either templates or a workshop or a course or anything like that.
How many of your students have done this through their time of working with you?
Right now, inside of our higher ticket coaching group, there's about 10 or 12 out of the 30 that are really working on it. We're focusing on that a lot this month. So there's those people are working on theirs now. But I'm sure, we've had like 450 students go through my course, and I don't really keep tabs on all of them. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to.
But I would say a lot. And I'm seeing, I love watching them, and they're launching workshops and they're launching memberships. And so it's fun to see all of that happening behind the scenes.
So yours essentially goes, their service providers, they can repurpose some of their systems into a digital product. But I've also seen it go the other way, where someone puts their knowledge into their digital product and then creates a service from it. So for example, I've really never been a service provider, but I used to say, when I ran my Pinterest ads course for 4 years, and it was funny because people, and I understand where some people were coming from, but I'm going to tell you my alternative viewpoint on this, which was, well, if you're not running ads for other people, how could you be a good teacher? And I was like, well, let's back up here. Do I have to push the button to be a good teacher? Do I have to be in someone's ad dashboard? Here, let me put your pin here and press the campaign live button. Or can you be a good teacher when you're seeing hundreds of campaigns? I'm really good with data, so I can ingest a lot of data very fast and see trends and be like, oh, this is what's going on. This is how the algorithm changed. This is how we should adjust. So since I had hundreds of students, I had 2,000 students when I retired the course, I was seeing hundreds of campaigns. So I was ingesting this data, seeing trends, and then I could articulate it back to my students. Who cared if I was the one loading the campaign up, as long as I was having access to the data? And now I'm a year out. We retired it a year ago. And it's funny because people still come to me and say, they have to understand, I know how, I'm really good at this, but I am not seeing hundreds of campaigns anymore. So if Pinterest changed, made slight tweaks to their algorithm and stuff, I'm not going to be as fast to pick that up because I'm not getting as much access to the data. But it can work both ways. You can be a really great course teacher by nature of having access to all of those students that are doing it, and you're seeing the behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah. Just for me, I started my course because I mastered my own model and then I started teaching it. But now being the teacher of it, and I'm not selling VIP days anymore. I stopped selling them back in December of last year. but I still see all of the trends. I see what's happening. I see, and I just can speak to all of the different points of view when it comes to this model and what works and what doesn't work and where the industry is looking like going forward. Like we were saying, this is the future of contractor service provider relationships,
Yeah. And honestly, I could have done VIP days with Pinterest ads where I could have charged a pretty decent amount because a lot of people that I don't want to go through the DIY course. I could have gotten them up and running in a day. And then I could have just done had a follow-up 4 weeks later. Like it would have been so easy for me to charge a premium for that. I wouldn't have wanted to because it just doesn't resonate. Like that's just not the way I want to work, but it really does work hand in hand. It can work hand in hand both ways. So that's one of the reasons why watching, because so it's like mini stalkerish, but we'll just say it. We love your website. When you redid it, we had a team retreat in early August and we were talking about the flow of our website and how it was like a little confusing mapping out where people should go when they come to it. We still haven't updated it, by the way, because we were in the middle of a launch, but it's coming. And so my operations manager is like, well, who do you think does a really good job at this? Because she needed like the visual. And I was like, Sarah. And so we pulled your website up on like the big screen during our retreat. And we were like going through it. And it was just so clear how people should work through your products. Like I have to give you a big shout out. I think that you do a really great job at communicating what you do, who you help, how you serve them, and make it super clear. And one of the things, and this is like sort of off topic, but it's like, I'm very interested. So I'm selfishly going to go there. You have a private podcast feed of your masterclass, which I did sign up for and I listened to. So, and I don't even plan on doing day rates, but I was so fascinated by it. And I listened to like the whole feed. We actually just got Hello Audio. We're going to start doing private podcast feeds as well. Cause I loved it so much going through your funnel. Here's the $1 million question. How is it working for you?
It's so hard to say because full transparency, I'm not great at tracking all of the data that's coming in. We have the data set up and it's all in there. But again, like priorities, like what are we looking at here? The podcast is great. Like I know people, first of all, we have a private podcast feed also for the course. So when you join the course, the entire course is all in audio and Hello Audio. So that has been amazing for nobody wants to sit and watch videos all day long because my course, you don't need to be looking at it. It's like slides that are the same thing that I'm saying. So you can read the slides and listen to me on a video, or you can plug it in and go on the podcast and go do whatever you need to do and listen to the whole entire course. There's like one module that you have to watch. It's like all of the tech stuff. So we love that. And then I was like, I know that there's people who sign up for my masterclass. It's an hour long. The people who need VIP days in their life are very busy. We have clients. We have all of this client work. We're going crazy. And we don't have time to sit in front of a webinar for an hour. So let's just give them the opportunity to listen to the webinar. And then I took it a step further and I took the webinar and I put it into a PDF as well. So the entire webinar
really
is also in a 40-page PDF. So if you don't want to sit in front of your computer and watch a video, you can listen to it or you can download the PDF and read it. Now, with all of that said, we literally are changing our We just did our final launch of the course at the existing price. And so we need to redo our masterclass and everything. So right now, the masterclass is kind of on hold while we redo a new one, but it'll be back up soon and it'll all be back into the podcast and into the PDF and all of the things soon. So if people go there right now, they're not going to find it, but it's definitely coming back. And it's been amazing. People have said they loved the opportunity to be able to listen, read, and consume it in a way that works better for them.
Honestly, you open my mind. Like I've heard the concept before. And unfortunately, when Hello Audio did their lifetime license a year ago, I hadn't even launched my public facing podcast yet. And I was like, I'm never going to have time to do this. And It's funny because I consume podcasts. Like that's my preferred way of consuming. Like even I have to consume any teaching on the go, whether it's, in the car with shuttling kids, on my daily walks, or at night when my toddler's bouncing off of me, I have my AirPods in and when she's watching her cartoons before bed. And it has to be audio if I have to watch it, I just don't have the time. And I don't even have the attention span on my computer when I am here to do that, because I see all the work that I have to get done. And I'm like, I can't watch this. So honestly, I never would have consumed your masterclass had you not put it in a private feed. And then I remember I was listening to you on my walk and I was like, wait a minute. She's just stripped the audio from her mat. Like, she's presenting this to slides. I'm getting the same information I would be getting if I was watching it. And she made it just so easy for me to consume.
Yeah.
So that sold me, because I'm like, there's got to be other people like me that can't go through my funnel because they're just like, I don't have time to watch this video, Monica. But I wouldn't even know that, because I don't think people knew they could request. You just give me the audio version.
Yeah, it's I'm the same way. We're all so busy now. Everyone is, whether you have kids at home with everything going on with the pandemic, like, who has time to sit in front of and watch an hour-long thing? I mean, of course, I always watch everything on 2x speed anyway.
Me too.
But we can listen to it on 2x speed on the podcast now. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Great. Yeah, I love Hello Audio is amazing. I actually bought that license before it was even Hello Audio. They launched it a couple of years ago as like a beta private podcast. I was on that wait list, got into the beta and sat on it for over a year before we even used it. And now we're using it. I think we got 3 feeds. So we're using it for our course, for the private podcast. And then the third one, we were going to do a third one that was all case study interviews, but we ended up just combining the case study interviews with the webinar, because once you're done listening to the webinar, now you want to hear, how did this work for people? And so all those case study interviews are in that feed as well.
Yeah. I was listening to, like, you did one with like a day in the life of one of your students. I was listening to it the other day, because now I'm like, you figured it out. So I'll just come after you, before you know it, this is something you honestly could teach. There's so many things you could teach, but your website was really well done. And I know you treat it yourself. I believe I saw you post that you treat it yourself as a client to get your own site done in a day, essentially. And it was very impressive. I really like it.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was definitely it wasn't one day. It definitely took me longer than a day to get it all done, but I almost hired one of my students to do it for me, but it was just one of those things, like, I really wanted to have control over it and do it myself. And because I'm not doing client work as much anymore, I miss that part of my business. I really miss design. So now I really enjoy working on my own website, working on my own Facebook ads, working on all of my graphic. Like, it's just fun for me to do my own stuff now.
Same. I'm building a new evergreen funnel that we've never done before. And my operations manager commented that, like, I'm really happy this week. And I'm like, that's because I'm doing work I actually enjoy that I don't get to do very often anymore. And it's fun. It's not, I'm actually having fun doing it. It doesn't even feel like an obligation. I'm like, oh, let's try this hookup and that hookup and, all this new stuff, which then inevitably only our students benefit from. Because then, when you're happy doing something like that, then you pass that information back to them as, like, you find new things and you're excited. And so one last question I have. I am pretty sure that there are people listening that are going to be very interested in this model of doing things, because a lot of people come to me starting as service providers before they move into digital products. And so they're listening and they're like, wow, I need this day rate thing in my life. So what kind of service providers would you say are the best fit for day rates?
Well, I love working with any done for you type service providers. So the people that are really in my audience mostly and who do extremely well with this model are designers. Obviously, I attract, I would say 80% at least of my students are designers, because that's just who I speak to, because that's what I am. Designers, copywriters, anybody who specializes in any type of system. So ClickUp, Dubsado, Honeybook, if you do any kind of like systems setups or tech VA type stuff, you're an amazing candidate for this model. Marketers, anybody like you who sets up funnels, evergreen funnels, webinar funnels, launches, anything like that, also a great candidate. Who am I forgetting? designers, copywriters, marketers, system specialists, or anybody who sets up courses. So if you work in Kajabi or Memberval or Kartra and do anything like that, sales page design, checkouts, those things, you're also a great candidate. Now, we do have people who are in things like interior design and accounting, and there are some coaches in our program, but my course is more catered to the service provider.
That is actually doing the work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not sitting on Zoom for 8 hours with our client coaching them on their mindset. We're like, my whole framework is set up in a way that you get everything you need ahead of time, and then you're head down during the day and you're working for 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever it is. And your client is waiting for the receivables kind of at the end.
That makes sense. Okay. So how do people find you if they're interested in this?
They can go to my website. So sarahmasci.com is the best place. I have several different freebies on there right now, so I'm not going to send you to any particular one. But if you go to sarahmasci.com, you'll see all of the opportunities to get on my email list. You'll see my low ticket, my day rate quick start, which is my low ticket entry point, which is an amazing way to just get started. If this is something you're interested in, but you're just not 100% sure, just start with the day rate quick start. Try it out. It's $37 and it's packed with value. So that's a great place to start. If you want to go all in, my course is also available, and that's all linked up right on my website.
Well, we will be sure to link to it because, as I said, you have a really great website and you can learn from it. You should go to it anyways, just so you can learn about what a great website looks like.
Thanks.
So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Yeah, this was great. I'm excited. I'm happy to be here, and appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Empowered Business Podcast. If you want to get started creating your own digital products and don't know where to start, I am hosting a live 5-day free training that can help. It's called Digital Product Dash Live, How to Discover Your Unique $1 Million Digital Product Formula. Head on over to empoweredbusiness.co/dash to join us live the week of January 24th, 2022. I'll see you back here again next week.